The rebels have hit the road to find the Nomad Stage. We're chasing horizons.
Disclaimer. This is a non-profit project for educational purposes. It's also intended partially as a critique of the films included.
Episode 2, we made it.
We made it for all 5 of you, I guess, who are listening.
Don't feel bad, Mo. I'm listening.
Thanks, man.
No worries.
We do not own any of the video clips provided and have done our best to credit the studios and production companies that are presented.
I have this condition.
It's not about what I want. It's about what's
You
fair.
mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger,
We
though.
thought we could be decent men in an indecent time.
All right. Here's Marco Kine.
You fight like a younger man.
Rachel!
Who's that?
Hey, Slim. What's going on?
KJ, man, I had the most vivid and frightening dream. Everything was dark, dusty, decrepit, and old, and we had no food, and there was no water or electricity.
You mean like we're starving artists?
Okay, that's fair, but it was rich people too. And there were these idea thieves, and I couldn't remember anything. It's always daylight, and there was magicians, and agents of chaos, and a mango. And it was all just so bizarre.
So what's with the toy?
Well, you know, I just wanted to make sure. Don't worry about it, KJ. Oh, thank God.
KJ, where are my steamy pouches? Kevin, did you eat my last steamy pouch? Did you know there's no food in the fridge? Is this guy freaking out again? Stop that. He's sleeping in your bed tonight. You better get out and buy me some steamy pouches. And you know I like them steamy. And if you dare... KJ, did you pay the utilities?
The landlord didn't call.
I think my walrus is broken.
The stage has moved. Mo, KJ, and I left the city limits to find what else had been filmed in Alberta, and we didn't have to travel far thanks to a certain British director. This episode, let's talk Christopher Nolan. Following his first effort, you'll remember Nolan established himself with his second flick, Memento. Next, he remade a Norwegian film, Insomnia. Of course, regular Joe moviegoers know his name because of a certain billion-dollar grossing trilogy about a rich guy going on some vacations and some funny voices.
This city just showed you that it's full of people ready to believe in good. When they don't, they'll cast you out. Like a leper.
The rich! The oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity, and we give it back to you.
Also, somewhere in there, he made a movie about magic.
Tonight, I give you ice.
No, not that one. The one with... No, that's been said before. I'll say the one with Jareth and Gollum. Yeah, that's the one. For his last 2 Batmanless features, Nolan chose Alberta to help him capture the depths of the dreamscape and the desperation of a man that is willing to pop into a wormhole.
Jumping back into our own time paradox, Nolan's first visit was in 2009 for the filming of Inception.
The 2010 mind-bending thriller's third act takes place partly at a highly guarded secret base in the snowy mountains, which allowed Nolan to pay tribute to one of his favorite Bond films and movie scenes, the lesser-known 007 tale on Her Majesty's Secret Service. The location for this action set piece took place on Fortress Mountain in Kananaskis country, where an abandoned ski lift was made up to look like the secret installation we see in the film, which, as of this recording, has since been demolished. Due to Nolan's love of secrecy, we were unable to film at the busy ski destination, but that hasn't stopped us from finding out where it was located.
Speaking of spies, Fortress Mountain was also used as a stage and a scene for a movie in the Bourne franchise.
Sweet, I like Damon.
No, he wasn't in this one. It was Renner. Nolan was back again in Alberta to film his seemingly most ambitious film yet, Interstellar. With a star-studded cast including Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain, Anne Hathaway, Casey Affleck, and Nolan's good luck charm Michael Caine, the film began shooting in southern Alberta in early 2013. The Spray Lakes Reservoir is a mountain valley located in Kananaskis country, perched 400 meters above the town of Canmore, 100 kilometers west of Calgary on the Trans-Canada Highway. It was used to film a secret scene that can only be speculated about. This photograph, captured by local radio station Eagle 100.9, captured strange lights emanating from the site where the film was being shot. Mysterious, huh?
Actually, Mo, from the trailers, I think the lake was used for this...
No spoilers, no!
Okay, but I'm just speculating...
No, I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
So because of the nature of the contract that Christopher Nolan signed with Fortress Mountain, they couldn't talk about the movie before, during, or after filming.
Yeah, and that whole Spray Lake scene is a mystery, and Mo doesn't want to talk about it because of spoilers.
No, he's not going to have any of that. Well, KJ, we're on the side of the road. We got nowhere to go. I guess episode 2 is over, man.
Guys, look what I found. He was here. The Nolan was here. I don't know why there's a truck on the sign, but he was here.
To find the perfect location, Nolan and his crew fanned out to find a stand-in for an American town well off the beaten path.
Southwest of Calgary and split by the Sheep River lies the quiet town of Okotoks, known to the locals as the Big Rock.
It's aptly called that because of the world's largest glacier rock smack dab in the middle of where it's not supposed to be. It's also where Big Rock Brewery gets its namesake.
Really? Brewery? Beer? Inception? Interstellar? KJ, I think we need an intervention.
Slim.
Yeah.
Ice did this.
Hot damn.
KJ, what are you doing?
I'm looking for the tap.
Dude, it's in Nanton. Oh, right. To flesh out the small town feel, Nolan also checked out Lethbridge, Fort Macleod, and Main Street Nanton, which is also southwest of Calgary.
Nanton is also known as Tap Town because it would provide free water to passing motorists until it started one of the first water bottling companies in Canada, which would have been a little ironic because Interstellar is about depleted water resources, we think.
Besides the tap, Nanton is also known for its aerospace museum, agriculture park, and an old-timey candy store. Come on, guys.
Unfortunately, Nanton's Main Street couldn't be closed. It was just too busy to fit Nolan's vision of a small town. The cast and crew, including McConaughey, discovered the main drag of Elizabeth Street and found exactly what they were looking for. I'm sitting here in the heart of Okotoks, Old Town Plaza. This charming little square in the middle of town is the place to be more than once a year. During the summer months, the foothills are alive with the sound of music as buskers come out to play and people can meander and listen to the music. There are also goodies for the foodie, with the Taste of Okotoks, an outdoor festival of food put on by participating restaurants, and later on in the year, a chili cook-off. Starting November 21st, Okotoks greets the season by lighting up the town in a display of Christmas lights, craft sales, sleigh rides, and the big elf himself, Santa Claus.
That street wouldn't be the only place the crew filmed. If you watch the previews, you'll notice a stadium shot that shows perhaps just why we need to send a Tex into space. We found that stadium.
In typical Christopher Nolan fashion, the movie's been pretty much kept under wraps. From what we gathered from the trailer, the film is headed into the dystopian future genre, with natural resources becoming more and more scarce. It's up to Matt McConaughey, his washboard abs and his curly blonde locks to save all of humanity. Whereas Inception was a giant metaphor for the filmmaking process in the actor, director, and writer point of view, Interstellar goes into space, cuts through wormholes, and gets into some science.
The story is based on a concept created by producer Lynda Obst and American physicist Kip Thorne, who is a longtime friend and colleague of both Stephen Hawking and Carl Sagan, and who worked as an executive producer and scientific consultant on this film. The concept comes from his theories on wormholes, which you can read in his 1988 paper, Wormholes, Time Machines, and the Weak Energy Condition. In it, he talks about how the law of physics could let an advanced civilization create and maintain a wormhole for space and interstellar travel. You see, if the law of physics can permit transversal wormholes, then they can probably also permit such wormholes to be transformed into a time machine with such mild space-time curvature that classical general relativity is everywhere valid. Choice of the future light cone. Specific spacetimes with such wormhole creations are known, required by the Einstein equations in those spacetimes are permitted by quantum field theory. A seeming plausible scenario entails quantum foam. One can imagine an advanced civilization and enlarging it to a classical size. For an intransversable wormhole.
What's the matter, KJ?
I forgot what I was talking about.
Why don't you check your tats? On your arm. On your other arm.
Oh, wormholes.
Oh God. My interview, how long were you talking?
As I was saying.
I got stuff.
But Mo, Slim, wormholes.
The Okotoks Dogs baseball team play at Seaman Stadium, a $16 million state-of-the-art facility built almost entirely with donations from the private sector. In 2014, attendance exceeded 2,800 fans per game, had 15 sold-out games in July and August, and had a record-breaking single-game attendance of 4,800 fans on Canada Day. The Dogs youth program is nationally renowned and is currently comprised of 6 high-performance teams of 120 youth players aged 12 to 18, all based at a Seaman Stadium complex.
Hey Revel, Slim here, and I'm in Tourmaline Field next to Seaman Stadium, and I'm joined with Angie Cox, the operations director during the filming of Interstellar, and John Arcandia, the managing director of the Okotoks Dogs Baseball Club. So we'll start with you, Mr. Arcandia. Can you give me a bit of a history on the Dogs?
The Dogs were founded as a youth team based in Calgary in the mid-1990s. At one point, we didn't have a facility in Calgary, so through the generosity of Don Seaman, and later joined by his brother Doc Seaman, we built what you see now down here at Seaman Stadium Complex. And it's an interesting story because we offered the stadium at an all capital cost associated with the stadium by way of a donation to the city of Calgary, and were rejected soundly at virtually every location in Calgary. Although Calgary was calling out for facilities, they couldn't wrap themselves around an offer where we would pay for everything. And it took Okotoks to have the vision to say, we will give you the land.
Angie, you were the baseball facilities consultant during all this, and then during filming you were on set. What were some of the responsibilities that you had to keep in mind?
Well, before the movie started the filming process, they came a couple of times to check it out. Everything from finding out how many seats were in the facility so they could hire the extras. Of course, there was a game going on during the scene, and so they needed to have the scoreboard reflect that. So if the ball was hit, they needed a hit on the, they needed to say it was a strike or, foul or run. So, baseball is not their number one thing. So I was there to facilitate that and run the scoreboard.
So now that we've set the stage, when the studio contacted you guys, was there something in particular or any aspects of the location that interested them most?
We thought they would want to do our larger stadium, but it just didn't work out for what they were looking for.
Yeah, you
so
have
ultimately
to remember
they picked
that
this
with
one.
Seaman Stadium, for example, because it is a full-service minor league stadium, you've got a lot more bells and whistles. They didn't really spare expense because both of these stadiums parking lots were transformed. I mean, there literally was no room. They were all occupied with trailers and tents and activity, and the number of people that were here involved in shooting a 3 or 4 or 5 minute scene or 5 or 6 of those type scenes, very limited in time, was incredible.
One of the things I remember that's definitely not in a day's work, we had a helicopter land right across the street. They were doing some aerial shots apparently. So they had flown up from, I think, Longview. They were doing some aerial shots of that area where they were doing some other filming.
And one thing Angie reminded me of this morning that I think she'd mentioned off camera was the giant fans that they'd put up on the plateau behind the stadium, which would create the effect of dust and that kind of dust bowl look that they wanted.
This particular stadium, they wanted it to look not so nice, not as nice as you see it today. Yeah. So they actually came in the day before, and the press box that you see behind us, they had a water-based solution that they sprayed all over the press box, and some of the seats, and the next day in cars that they had placed in the parking lot to make them look dirty and grimy and sandy and just, like they had been in a dust storm before.
And speaking of like the behind the scenes magic, there was also a scene over on the smaller field.
Correct. We don't get all the information about the movie or on a need to know basis, but over there apparently the film that they were doing was for once they're in space, and so they wanted that field to look more pristine as opposed to this stadium looking not so nice. Yeah, and I don't know a lot about the scene. The only thing I know, it was a sandlot game, some kids playing ball, and apparently Matthew McConaughey is in the hospital watching this game through a window. And so, when you're watching a movie, you just assume that they're filming him looking through the window. But it was interesting when they were doing that shot, they had the camera on a large crane and they stuck a curtain in front of the camera. And just, whoever was up there, they moved their hand away to do the shot to make it appear, from that aspect.
Just a cameraman that had a hand that looked like McConaughey.
Exactly. When you see the movie, if it makes it into the movie, you'll think that's him looking through the window. But interestingly enough, he was nowhere around at that point.
Christopher Nolan, you people probably know this more than we did at the time, is notorious for everything being extremely top secret. We didn't know the name of this movie was Interstellar until after they'd left here from filming. It went by a sub-name.
Flora's Letter.
And that's what we knew.
Yeah.
And then after they started the filming, we actually Googled letters to Flora, and it took out, and we got nothing, of course. And he is extremely private. And does not let a lot out about what the film, how it fits into the movie.
Thank you, Angie Cox and John and Candy. It was great to meet you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to check out Interstellar November 7th.
I'm happy with episode 2. How about you, Mo?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. KJ was super disappointed that there was water instead of beer at the tap in Nanton.
Well, not that disappointed. What? It was going to go bad in the fridge. But seriously, go check out Nanton, their candy store, and their awesome aerospace museum.
We also want to thank the Okotoks dogs, Angie Cox,
Marcel Dupuis,
and John Arcandia.
Thanks for letting us into your field, guys.
Yeah, check out all the great things they do below by following the links.
We also want to thank the town of Nanton.
And the town of Okotoks.
And if you want to see more from the Nomad Stage, be sure to subscribe. And stay tuned for more episodes, including Gross Behavior, Christmas, and Jamaica.
But not in the same episode.
Oh.
Would you go take out the fucking bottles?
So she walks right onto the field because she's all hungover and shit. What knot did you tie?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know?
Portuguese bowline.